Israel and Lebanon have finalized a historic agreement on a maritime border in the Mediterranean Sea. The gas fields at the center of the deal will likely benefit both countries. Israel's Prime Minister Yair Lapid called the deal brokered by the United States a victory. The chief Lebanese negotiator hailed the agreement as the beginning of a new era. The maritime area covers 330 square miles of sea. Israel now has rights to the confirmed gas field known as Karish. Lebanon has the rights to most of the prospective gas field, Kanu. I want to bring in Hanin Ghaddar. She is a Friedmann Fellow in the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. She focuses on Shia politics. Hanin, this deal is about gas. So do each sides benefit economically the same, or how does each benefit from this economic agreement?
Good evening. So definitely it's about gas, but it's beyond gas. It's about one country recognizing the other, which is Lebanon, which has never recognized Israel, its sworn enemy, finally recognizing the existence of Israel at its border through this deal. In terms of benefits, I would say that Israel is going to benefit more than Lebanon at this point, because Israel is 100% sure that there is gas in the Karish field, while Lebanon is not sure at all if there's any gas in the Qana field. They still need time in order to explore the existence of gas and whether there is gas and how much. So in terms of benefits, Israel also got security guarantees from Hezbollah after numerous threats on its digging site. So now they can go ahead without any fear of war. In terms of the Lebanese, the main benefit today really is that everybody avoided the war, which was everybody was taking it very seriously after all the threats by Hezbollah. So today, everyone's happy that there's going to be no more, and a war between Lebanon and Israel, mainly between Hezbollah and Israel, would have caused a lot of losses and damages that Lebanon today, with the current economic crisis, cannot afford. So this is good news. The other good news is that Hezbollah, which is the main actor behind the scenes of everything, approved the deal and said that he doesn't really want to start a war today, and this is not the time, which means that the narrative of the resistance that Hezbollah has been striving on and really at the core of its existence today received a big hit with that. So these are the main two benefits for Lebanon.
So help me understand the Hezbollah piece of this, Hanin, because I think what I took from what you said is if Hezbollah was committed to the destruction of Israel, then the fact that it now is recognizing Israel, at least for the purposes of this agreement, is a watering down of that extremist position. But why would Hezbollah and Lebanon do something that, as you said, gives more benefit to Israel than it does to Lebanon? So it's not just that they're changing their posture, but they're also seemingly giving Israel the better end of the deal.
That's very true, and this is a very good question. And the reasons are beyond just the deal in Lebanon and the gas. The reason is that Hezbollah today is looking everywhere in the region. Inside Lebanon, they have lost the majority in the recent parliament. They are trying to translate everything they do into some political gains inside Lebanon, and they're not doing very well. Syria is a mess. Iraq is a mess. The demonstrations in Iran are really causing them a lot of tension. Everywhere they look, it's a crisis. So they needed some breathing time in Lebanon, one, to see what they're going to do internally, trying to translate this as a victory. And Hezbollah's leader today, Hassan Nasrallah, made a very interesting speech calling this a victory for Lebanon. But of course, no one buys that. Everybody knows that this is not an actual victory for Hezbollah. It is a breathing space where they can, one, get ready for internal politics, but also see where the region is going and where the regional dynamics are, how the regional dynamics are unfolding before making any decisions. So it's really just a breathing space for them. But now they know that Lebanon and Israel are partners in gas. So if Lebanon finds gas, we will not know if there's gas in Qana before a few years. And to be able to actually starting to benefit from any gas found, we will need 5 years to get that. So at least we will have guarantees of no war for 5 years. This is good on one hand, but maybe Hezbollah also, for them, this will give them some space in order to get ready, because after Syria and after their involvement in regional wars, especially in Syria, Yemen, and Iraq, Hezbollah is very thinned out today. Hezbollah definitely does not have the means and the budget to start a war, especially with Israel. Their fighting force is very challenged. They need time to rebuild their fighting force. Their weapons are there, their missiles are there, but they also know that the threat of their missiles today is much more effective than the missiles themselves. If they use them, they lose them, because Iran is not in a position now to restock Hezbollah's arms. So that's why they needed this breathing space. And they're not in a position to negotiate at this point. They are more desperate for this deal than anyone else today between Israel and Lebanon and Hezbollah. It's definitely, they're not definitely in a position to push for more.
Hanin, quickly before we lose our time, in this breathing space, could there be the opportunity for more peace or for progress on peace? And I'd like to add to that, there's about to be another election in Israel. Are there forces within Israel who don't like a deal with Hezbollah and see that as a sign of weakness, who might act in some way that would reduce the chances for peace?
Well, definitely, like in Israel and also in Washington, this is something very partisan. You know, everybody's translating it to elections, and everybody wants to, like criticizing the deal. It's criticizing the deal from a partisan point of view, and this is the same thing in Israel. But it's everybody wants it, because at the end of the day, no matter who comes next and no matter what happens in Lebanon or Israel, this deal is good for both. This deal is beneficial for both people and for both countries and for everyone. The main issue really here, peace is not going. There's not going to be any normalization between Lebanon and Israel at this point, because this is like too early. At this, as long as Hezbollah is still in Lebanon, this is not going to happen. It depends on what happens in Iran, really. This will be reflected on Lebanon. But the main question today, how to make this deal really beneficial for the Lebanese people. The problem is that without reforms, today, the money coming from the gas is going to line up the pockets of the corrupt elite. And this is where Washington should continue pressuring for reforms and use this leverage of success that they have done today, really great leverage, in order to push for more reforms.
All right, Hanin Ghaddar, thank you so much for being with us.